Hi guys, welcome to In the Black, where today I'm going to give you a full run through of all of my sinking and savings funds. I love sinking funds. I'm actually really passionate about it because it has probably been the biggest factor in turning my finances around as a recovering shopaholic. When I first started with them, I called them savings pots, and that is essentially what they are. With my savings funds, I do like to save year round for bills such as car insurance, school costs, gifts, Christmas. I mean, the list goes on, and we will get into it now. If you have not yet implemented sinking funds into your budget, I highly recommend that you do. There is honestly no greater feeling than having the money saved already when a bill comes around, in my opinion. Right, so let's get into my sinking fund categories. I have quite a few categories. I do like to be very detailed with them for the most part because I found in the past when I was more general with them that I would end up overspending in certain subcategories and leave myself short in others purely because it was too hard to decipher what was what, the wood from the trees. But if you are starting out, I would recommend taking the generalized route until you find your bearings, and then you can get more detailed with them as time goes on if you wish. Firstly, I have property tax. This is an annual bill, and I always know the amount due in advance, so I split the amount by 12 and save that number every single month. So that's an easy peasy one to figure out. Next, I have kids' extracurricular activities. I have a general idea of the amount needed per term, and I then calculate the annual cost, divided by 12 to know how much to save each month. And then from here, I have to pull from this throughout the year when bills are due, which is usually around 5 times per year. Next up is school. From this fund, I pay for uniforms, supplies, stationery, school trips and fees. I calculate the amount needed using the upper end of the scale, so the highest amount that I think I'm going to need to make sure that I'm covered. For example, I would base it on needing a whole new uniform each year so that I never leave myself short. I pull the biggest amounts from here over the summer months when I'm preparing for back to school, but there would be smaller amounts spent throughout the year too. Then I have kids stuff. This fund covers my children's birthdays, summer days out, and also Easter and Halloween. The spends for Easter and Halloween are generally quite small. Most of this fund is for the kids' birthdays and then days out over the summer holidays from school, which, as we know, can cost a lot of money. I have a car sinking fund, and this covers insurance, tax, NCT, services, and tyres, all of that. I pull from this fund several times per year depending on when the bills are due or if something goes wrong with the car. I have a sinking fund for the annual bins invoice that we receive. So we pay monthly for bin collections, but this fund covers the annual charge that is then also applied to the account. This is one of my smaller funds, but nevertheless, I do like to save for it year round. I like to have the money ready when the bill comes around. Next up is management company fees. So this is essentially service fees that some homeowners have to pay, not all homeowners, but in our estate we do. It covers the maintenance of common areas in our housing estate basically. This bill is due biannually and I save for it every month, the same amount every month year round. Then I have gifts. So these gifts are for people that are close to us, obviously, which is usually family members or close friends, but excluding our kids, which is a different sinking fund that I already spoke about. Also, if I know there is something coming up in a particular year, like a wedding or a special milestone birthday, I will save enough for those too. And then I usually add in a buffer amount to this fund to cover other unexpected or one-off occasions because I do hate to leave myself short So generally I will add in a buffer of €100 or €200 to this fund as well. I have a sinking fund for medical and dental costs. We do have health insurance, but this fund covers us for the out-of-pocket costs because the insurance does not cover the full amount for anything that we have to pay for. And this is an example of a fund where I never know how much we're going to need to use it. So I have chosen an amount, I just have decided an amount for our family that I'm comfortable saving each month. And that is how I figure out that sinking fund. Next up is energy bills. So with this fund, I'm essentially doing my own version of level pay, but I would rather have the money in my account than have a level pay account set up with an energy supplier. So I have a set amount each month, and then when I get the gas and electric bill, I pay them from this fund. If there is anything left over, so if the bills are less than what I have saved, I keep the money in the fund as I might need it. In fact, I will need it in the more expensive months. So, for example, I save the same amount year round every single month. And then generally in the summer, our bills are cheaper. Both our electric and gas bills are cheaper. And I end up building up a nice little buffer here. But then in the winter months, our bills are generally higher. So if I don't have enough, I then pull from this buffer. And I love doing it this way. This is my favourite way to pay our energy bills. Then I have home insurance. This is an annual bill. The amount can vary, but I aim to save a little more than the previous year to cover increased costs year on year, like any increased costs associated with inflation basically. I have a house stuff sinking fund which covers the smaller bits and bobs needed around the house. So this will cover things like cushions and decorative items, small storage items, smoke alarms, etc. And I spend from here as needed. Next up is pets. We do have pet insurance, and I also have a pet care plan with the vet. But this fund is to save for any expenses not covered by either of those, and also for when our dog ages out of pet insurance, which I believe is usually around 7 or 8. I think it might be age 8. After that point, a lot of insurers won't cover the pets. I also save for glasses and opticians fees. There are glasses wearers in the house, and this fund covers the cost of eye tests and glasses, whatever is not covered by the health insurance plan that we have. Then I have a Christmas sinking fund. I save in this fund year round and will generally start spending from here around October. Next up is holidays. We love our holidays. I save in this fund every single month, and this covers the cost of everything holiday related, accommodation, flights, and all spends while on our trips. It also covers the cost of our travel insurance and if we need any new luggage or anything like that. I have an orthodontics sinking fund. So one of the kids has already had some orthodontics work done but may need more. And I don't know yet if the other will need any work done. We're still waiting to hear about that. But it's such a common thing nowadays that I think it's prudent to save for this regardless. I would rather have the money ready than have to pay an orthodontics bill monthly. Then I have a beauty fund. So myself and my husband get personal spending money from the budget each month, but I take less, and what I do is I save the rest in this fund. So at the moment it covers my hair appointments. I'm not getting any other beauty treatments done, and then I pull from this as needed, which is usually every 6 to 8 weeks. TV license is another one. I save for this each month and the bill is due annually. Emergency fund. This is the most important one of all. I continue to save in this each month to cover the cost of inflation. So I've calculated a bare bones budget and I check on it every couple of months, and if there have been any bill increases, then I need to increase the amount that's in the emergency fund savings. At the moment, I'm currently going through this. I checked our bare bones budget and some of our bills have increased, and I now need to work on increasing our emergency fund. I have a sinking fund which I call my slush fund. So it's like a buffer to our emergency fund, and this would cover any smaller unexpected expenses that arose if needed, where I wouldn't have to touch our bigger emergency fund. This one is not a necessity. As long as you have your emergency fund, you could focus on that. But for us, I do like to have what I call my little slush fund. There is a fund for furniture, large appliances, which I started because I know the time will come when we need something big and expensive like a new sofa or a washing machine or a vacuum cleaner. And I really want to have the money there so that I do not have to pull from the emergency fund. We have a specific fund to cover those type of costs. Next up is house maintenance. So this would cover things like a new garden fence or damage to windows or bigger redecorating costs. For example, when we renovated our kitchen, this was the fund that we saved in. I have a sinking fund for a new car. I don't need a new car right now, but as soon as I bought my car a few years ago, I started saving in this fund so that when the time comes for a new one, I could pay for it with cash. I have a sinking fund for concert tickets. There's nothing in there at the moment. I need to build this fund back up. But as we all know, the cost of concert tickets has skyrocketed, and events are often announced with only a few days' notice ahead of tickets going on sale. So I do think it's wise to have this fund, especially as this is something that we enjoy doing. I'm not including mortgage overpayments here, as this translates to mortgage credit, which then sits on our mortgage account rather than in our savings account. But on our monthly budget, I do include it in our savings category, so that is why I'm just mentioning it here. So these are all my funds as of right now. Some of these categories can change from time to time, but there are definitely some stalwarts there that I think I will always have. I'd love to hear about your sinking funds, guys, if you keep yours to a minimum, very general, or do you get really detailed? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching In the Black. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, bye.